Hey there folks, Champest here bringing you another audio commentary, and today we have a game between LawLiet and Moon. This is a game currently being played in WEM. I think this is the second game that both of these players have played, and or second match both of these players have played, currently in this series Moon is up 1-0. This is going to be an Elf Mirror, and obviously actually it's worth mentioning actually this is going to be on Last Refuge, which is not a map you see really ever nowadays, and this is being played in WEM, as I say, and these guys are having a tremendously interesting map pool. If you can watch any of the replays from this tournament, I would highly recommend it. Some very fun maps being played, so we'll have to see how these players have prepared for such a sort of unique map. It has some really interesting features, which hopefully we'll be able to see quite a bit of. But in the meantime, obviously both players could be opening up pretty standardly, going for a couple archers, and then really they'll have a chance to diverge. You can go for sort of archers and Demon Hunter and Naga. It's a bit harder to go for Ancients of War with your archers on this map, so I don't, just because there's fewer places to actually build them where you can really get to your opponent quickly. But certainly you can go for sort of just the archers and Demon Hunter really high DPS option. You can go for those Druids of the Talon. You can go for bears. You know, there's really a lot of choices. Looks like both players are opening up very steadily with their Demon Hunters. Obviously, the only other choice you sometimes have is Priestess of the Moon. Some maps you can go Huntresses with those, and that does work very well. But in this case, that's not what's being opted for. Both players going for that Ancient of War creeping. Moon doing some nice creeping here. Looks like actually LawLiet took a bit of damage on his archer, which is a bit of a mistake, because obviously there's no harm in taking on your Ancient of War. And actually, he's taking a lot more damage now. While trying to wait for his Demon Hunter to get there. Moon now scouts this out and immediately pulls back, and Moon now will be doing his own creeping as well, obviously as well. And we can see Moon picking evasion first. Obviously, if you're not going to be fighting the enemy Demon Hunter and before you hit level 2, there's absolutely no reason to not get that evasion, because that will just mean you're slightly better at tanking, and you don't have to worry quite so much. Meanwhile, both players are just scouting out each other's bases. Need to scout out that tier 2 timing. Moon's just started it now, and actually LawLiet has as well. So both players really playing absolutely identical builds. Makes you think that these guys really have been practicing these maps specifically, and LawLiet getting some fantastic items here. Like he already has +9 damage from that Claws of Attack and Slippers of Agility. Meanwhile, Moon has picked up, terrible, really the two worst items he could have picked up. Such bad luck here for Moon. Ring of Protection and Cloak of Shadows. He'll probably want to sell both of those in time. Probably the Cloak of Shadows. Actually, Cloak of Shadows can be okay early game for that first nighttime. For this night that's just starting now, it can have some uses if you get into some tricky fights. You can just hide your whole army, then you don't need to worry about the Demon Hunter being too exposed. And we are now seeing some divergence in the creeping path as Moon rushes home, uses his Moon well. Obviously, using the ammo just before the start of night is quite nice, because it's going to give you more time to really get some, really get the maximum healing effect in the long run from that. And actually, interesting play here by Moon. He rooted his Ancient of War, so it takes a lot less damage from the creeps. And because there's melee creeps here, that means that the Ancient of War can still attack. So some interesting play here by Moon, certainly, who has now picked up the Berserker and the Shadow Priest as well. Meanwhile, LawLiet has actually moved over to Moon's side of the map, and is going to be doing some very forward creeping out the Goblin Merchant of Moon. Very, very nice. Obviously, this is not one that gives you a Vision Ward, because that would be even better if it did. But it has given LawLiet some good items here. He gave him the Scroll of the Beast, which is very useful in the Archer versus Archer battles, which we are possibly going to be seeing. We'll have to see what the guys want to do for their later tech. Looks like probably Moon will, actually both of them look like maybe they're going for dots at this point. We haven't yet seen a Hunter's Hall, and that's really sort of the one defining feature that we actually no, we have, I beg your pardon. LawLiet has put down a Hunter's Hall. So it looks like we might be seeing some dots versus bears, which is really exciting. Pretty much the most interesting elf versus elf combination, because you get that real nice diversity, and you have to get differing playstyles. As Moon keeping such good eye on what's going on with LawLiet, but unfortunately the Wisp moving out of range of the Trapper got the Trapper to actually entangle the Wisp, and now we'll have to see how LawLiet's good. LawLiet, interestingly, didn't try and kill that Wisp. He's much more focused on killing these creeps, and actually the detonate does then go off there by Moon, who's taken a lot of damage to his creeping, is level 3, and picked up a Potion of Greater Mana as well. So interesting play here, certainly by Moon. And actually he has now picked up that Naga, very, very standard. and works well with dots, works well with bears, really works well with anything. But in this case, we can see the Ancient of Winds have now started for Moon, so we are fairly confident in what we're going to be seeing, because we're not going to be seeing obviously sort of Hitchers or archers or anything like that at this point. But it's going to be solid dots at this point. And meanwhile, LawLiet, who has picked up the Lion Horn of Stormwind, probably going to want to sell that in time. But if he is going for bears, then certainly that can be okay. And actually, look at this, getting the fast strength before the Ultra Vision, which is very interesting, considering that you normally want to get that immediately, just because you can then get the benefit from it in this first night. As you see, LawLiet actually taking a fairly good battle, considering he doesn't have a Nog of his own. Going to be able to take down the Shadow Priest very nicely. They're taking a bit too much damage, and Moon doing some nice pathing blocking here, doing a lot of damage to this Demon Hunter, now down to 80 hit points and forced TP away. Fantastic play there by Moon, forcing that very, very expensive item to be wasted. And Moon now is going to try and move in, but really there's no point, because there's so many high hit point Moon rolls here. There's absolutely nothing more he can do. And look at this from LawLiet, Keeper of the Grove second. So interesting choice here, certainly against dots. And LawLiet, we saw with his Wisp, he has been scouting everything out. This isn't a mistake here by him. This is probably going to be so he can try and trap that Demon Hunter, focus him down very, very quickly, or at the very least force him out of the battle, so that we do see the remainder of Moon's army become very, very easily exposed to the high DPS, high tanking units of LawLiet, which will be out in large numbers very, very soon, probably starting with a couple Dryads. Actually, no, ooh, look at this, he's going for a bear first. Can that be right? Yeah, it is. He's going for a Druid of the Claw first. Very, very interesting. Maybe he's worried about tanking some damage and wants to be able to heal up with a rejuvenation quite early. It's interesting, certainly, because those couple early Dryads can really do so much damage to dots, and just having them around early so they can build up more mana, so they can dispel more, is so important as well. So interesting play here by both sides. Moon just constantly getting these bad items. He is now 2 Rings of Protection, and actually now passing over the Circlet of Nobility, as well as the Boots of the Naga, and that's very, very important, because that Naga could otherwise get trapped very easily. And Moon now maybe going to head off to do some shopping, try and steal an Invulnerability Potion perhaps from LawLiet's shop. And what's he going to pick up here? Ooh, look at this Potion of Invisibility. That's something Moon makes tremendous use of. Very, very underrated item, and Moon's so good with it. And we'll see him probably just keep tabs on his opponent's army, while in the meantime he creeps up his Naga to level 3, and we can see this Ancient of War being brought up, and we'll be able to creep out this camp if that's what he wants to do. So interesting play here, certainly by Moon. And LawLiet now hitting his tier 3, and immediately, actually now going into those Dryads a bit later. So Moon scouting there's no expansion here. Very unlikely to be an expansion at this point, because LawLiet's very, very exposed to some sort of attack. And we can now see Moon, actually he's just pathing blocking here, so he's basically revealing that he does have an Demon Hunter here, and he is invisible. But there's not too much that LawLiet can do about it at this point, until he buys some dusts maybe, or if he killed the creeps here, he could also then use obviously the Goblin Lab as well. So that's going to take him a bit of time. In the meantime, we do see tremendous positioning here by Moon, keeping all these dots very, very well protected against these very high DPS creeps, and attacking all the damage on his Ancient of War. And this Naga has now hit level 3. All the while, the Demon Hunters kept solid tabs here on these heroes. Obviously, if any very nice items dropped, it would be possible for Moon to pick these up before LawLiet could get to them. And we might see an item still being picked up here as well, maybe an Invulnerability Potion. Yes, finally he does pick up that Invulnerability Potion. Very important to pick up those. Not only does it deny it to a LawLiet who's going to want them, but also you can when you have an entirely ranged army apart from your Demon Hunter, you're going to take so much focus. It's really so important to, and actually especially with this entangling roots as well from the Keeper of the Grove, it's so important to have every form of invulnerability you can get. And we can see even more DPS being bought by Moon. Obviously these dots have very, very low DPS, and once we get these Druids of the Call into bear mode, and their rank is master already, so that can happen, you really need that DPS, because otherwise their 960 hit points just becomes absolutely unassailable. And we now see Moon, actually, it's quite interesting that he's being so aggressive with his Demon Hunter here. He does get entangled, and he does have this invulnerability potion, but he won't use it, I don't think. He gets Mana Burn. He doesn't have the boots. Bear in mind, he did pass those off to the Naga, and now the Demon Hunter is going to make a run for it, and will be able to get away down to 60 hit points, but will be able to get away in time. And interesting to see Moon maybe going to be looking to pick up a Tinker third. I think that's probably going to be his best choice at this point, if he does want to pick up a third hero. But normally you do want to get one like that. just in this sort of situation. And Moon now with, or LawLiet now with 3-2 on his heroes, very close to 4-3 actually, and getting that level 2 entangling roots can be so useful, just because it gives you a bunch of extra time of entanglement, and it can keep the Demon Hunter out of the fight because he is melee, so as long as you don't have anything near him, you can keep him out of the fight for a very long time. And we can see Moon has picked up this Tinker Third, as well as actually using a Clarity on his Demon Hunter, which is quite interesting. I guess it's going to mean that he's going to be wanting to get a lot of mana burns, and he's very confident that he's going to be able to get those mana burns before his mana is burnt, as we now see a fight being taken. One Mountain Giant actually being put in the front here. Very nice position here for LawLiet. Actually, we now see some treants being brought in as well, and a very nice position. Actually, Moon's getting the better side of it now with his Pocket Factory down. We see one staff going down finally to save that low unit, as we now see Moon's Demon Hunter very close to level 4, but has been entangled, is forced back, does use a Scroll of Healing, and now really making a run for it. There's Town Portal here still on this Naga, but it looks like at this point Moon's actually doing very well in this fight. He's taking a lot of damage on his Demon Hunter, very close to level 4, but he is now trapped. He does get staffed back in the last second, and now we do see that the Keeper of the Grove going to TP out, and will this Tinker go down? He's down to 7 hit points, 1 hit point from that Poison Orb, but he does survive. Oh my god, so close there by Moon, but really gets so lucky with that. And we now see that this Tinker's going to have to head home. Very smart play there by Moon. I'm not sure if you noticed it, but in the middle of the fight he actually passed his Scroll of Town Portal to the Naga, just so that it meant that he could staff his Demon Hunter home and not be in risk of losing his whole army if things went pear-shaped. So very nice, quick reactions there by Moon, and smart thinking as well, as we now see LawLiet going to get level 4 in his Demon Hunter, and actually probably get level 3 on his Keeper of the Grove as well by creeping this camp. But these Mountain Giants are taking a lot of damage, and that is going to cause so many problems later on. We can already see LawLiet has down to maybe 30% on average on his Moon Wells, and basically it's going to take sort of 3 or 4 Moon Wells to heal up a Mountain Giant from basically no health to basically full health. So really you can't be using that. It takes 4 rejuvenations from bears to heal up a Mountain Giant to full health. Really, it's totally impractical to try and heal them up in any way. So really, you do have to rely just on their natural generation, and then any spare mana you might have. But really, Mountain Giants are quite a commitment in that sense, because they're 7 food, and you know, you have to do a lot with them to make them worthwhile. You have to take fights in good positions, like LawLiet did last time, though he did get a bit sloppy, and that Pocket Factory did cause a lot of problems for him as well. As Moon actually, is he going to try and creep out this camp? With LawLiet so close, this would be very risky, especially with the shockwave from that Ogre Lord. And looks like Moon might actually be able to take a great position fight, assuming that LawLiet can't aggro those creeps, in which case this would be a terrible position for Moon, as he immediately sends up couple units into the air, but they are dispelled quickly by those drives, as we now see the Mountain Giant using his taunt, but Moon micros that away. Wisp even comes in, gets off a nice detonate, and we now see this Demon Hunter being thrown up into the air. He does have plus 20 attack, bear in mind, from all those fantastic items he has got early game, so keeping that Demon Hunter in the air is absolutely critical, as Moon now moves further out. Gonna lose 2 dots right away, but actually he's gonna... This Demon Hunter keeps on getting thrown up and keep on getting brought back down as well, as Moon now having some of his units thrown into the air because from that staff, as we now see actually Moon caught in a bad position with his dots. This Demon Hunter with the orb is going to do a huge amount of damage, and finally LawLiet being forced to TP home yet again. And we now see that Moon is going to try and creep out this camp immediately while he knows that LawLiet is far away, and while Moon's mine is almost operational. So very nice fight being taken there by Moon, but LawLiet just with such a sort of strong late game army composition is going to be a real threat as this game goes on, whereas Moon, as both sides' heroes level up, is going to be put in a more and more perilous position, because LawLiet only has 2 heroes, and this Demon Hunter is 4.5 now, and if that can get to 6, which are only level half away, then that is going to cause all kinds of problems for these dots, because they go down so quickly and they get splashed so much, because they just tend to group together so much. And Moon now, with his Shadow Priest, which is actually still alive, which is very impressive all things considered, is doing some good healing, but really with dots you do need huge scrolls of healing, because there's really no other way to heal them up effectively. He does have these Moon Walls here, and that is nice to do some healing, but you want to more or less save those for your heroes, because otherwise you waste so much on regenerating mana, from which you just can't afford to be doing. As LawLiet has picked up a fantastic item here, Ancient Django of Endurance, which is just so useful when you have Bear Dryad, and it's really going to pose a great threat to Moon. He won't be happy to see that at all. notice both Demon Hunters do have their orbs, and obviously more important really for LawLiet, because you just need to get one hit off on each of the dots, and then you do about 100 damage to each of them. So very, very nice. As we see Moon yet again stalking around. He just absolutely loves doing this. Even this is interesting. He's using his lab to do the reveal, even though he was basically right there. I'm not sure entirely why Moon was doing that, because he knows where LawLiet is. Oh, maybe he's gonna buy some sappers. Ooh. If you can take out these two Moonwells, and then actually these two as well, obviously one sapper takes a Moonwell down to almost no hit points, and that's probably his best choice at this point. Obviously you can't take down a Tree of Eternity with anything else, so about 4 sappers. But oh, LawLiet's right on top of this, actually. Very unfortunate there for Moon, as we now see LawLiet moving out, and he has put the orb now onto the Keep of the Grove, just because the Keep of the Grove is ranged. He has an orb on both heroes, just so he can get that maximum effect, hit as many dots as possible, and that's really so terrifying. As we see, Moon has now bought sappers, and he has used them to take down 4 Moonwells, and very, very nice play there by Moon, and he will now be able to get away as well. Actually, he didn't take down the high mana Moonwells. It's a bit of a mistake there by Moon, but really it's not that big in the scale of things. As we now see, oh, the Keep of the Grove coming around for an entangle here. Will Moon get off the mana burn? Yes, he does, but there's still 100 mana left. We see, oh, very, very nice. Just as soon as that entangle goes off, Moon pops his invulnerability potion, gets another mana burn, so there's no more entangle. Superb play there by Moon, gets that just in time and will be able to get out of there. Oh my god, that could have been disastrous there for Moon. Could have been really lost his Demon Hunter. He doesn't have any way of getting out otherwise. His other heroes are too far away, and only the Naga has a staff anyways, and doesn't even have boots, so wouldn't be able to get there in time. And we now see that LawLiet's going to be doing some creeping here. He's going to take a fair bit of damage. Obviously these poison creeps are really, really annoying, and it means that his Stride's going to take a fair bit more damage than he would like. But he will get very close to level 5 at this point, and Ring of Regeneration, very, very nice. It's a bad item generally, but in this situation it's pretty okay, because this Demon Hunter is constantly slightly injured, and because these Moonwells are taken out, he doesn't have as much regeneration as he might like. So having that extra is just a bit. It's just a bit nice, really. As we see, Moon is quite a bit lower on levels, so bear in mind he does have a 3rd hero as well, and compared to, I think, 4-4. What are we now seeing here from? Yeah, 4-4 for LawLiet. So certainly some intimidating hero levels from LawLiet, and his Demon Hunter is pretty close to 5 at this point as well. And as I say, 6 is really that point where you don't really have many options left to you. And we now see LawLiet actually, ooh, Moon just hit level 4 in his Naga, so does have the better frost arrows, but that's really not a big deal. It's really 5 you care about on your Naga there. And LawLiet now being the one who's sort of creeping around Moon's army, trying to keep tabs on it, all the while he hasn't yet taken expansion here. I'm a bit surprised by that, because Moon's been mining here for a long time, only 8,200 gold left there now, and LawLiet really keeping tabs on things. These Fairy Dragons are going to prove to be very, very effective for a couple reasons, but mainly because there's so many casters in LawLiet's army, and it can really dissuade you from doing things like dispelling or casting lots of roars and rejuvenating and stuff like that mid-battle. So it can force you to reposition as well, which is something that you don't often want to do mid-battle, because then you can get the rest of your army cycloned, and then half your army is in one place, half your army somewhere else. Really, there's a whole bunch of things that can go wrong if you don't play it out completely right. So really, you do need to be very, very careful. And Moon, he's been making such good use of these mercenaries. Obviously, the Ogre Mauler is great to have a second melee unit in your army, and the Shadow Priest just for healing, and even you can get a couple dispels off if something particularly nasty from an item happens to be cast on you. And we now have Moon all the way up at 80 supply, compared to LawLiet, who's still at 74, and actually does have some of that, still 6 of it's in production as well, so really only 68 on the field at this point. And Moon now looks like he might even be posing for an engagement of some sort. He is going to try and take one here. He needs to be very, very careful. So far the position's okay, but look at this Demon Hunter coming in through the back here. Hasn't got off a mana burn yet, which is a bit surprising. There it goes there, and we now see Moon and Demon Hunter in the front doing a lot of damage as well. Does have some good survival items, but he will be needing those soon, because he's taking a lot of damage. He is entangled as well. Cyclone finally going off on that Demon Hunter, and the Dryads are too far away to dispel it. Very, very nice there for Moon, but we do need to see that this Naga is down to very low health, does have that TP, but Moon probably doesn't want to disengage quite yet at this point. We know we do have another Cyclone, yet another Cyclone going off. So important to get off these Cyclones, even cycloning all of the treants as well, which did get a good flank here. Just keeping this Naga alive is so important for Moon, as he does now micro it back. This Cyclone being used so much, there's such great effect. finally the scroll protection being used very late in the battle, very surprising, and we now see this Demon Hunter being staffed home, and now Moon even TPing the rest of his army away, and does catch the entire army there. So a pretty good battle. Unfortunately, Moon couldn't stay in a bit longer because all these mountain giants are down at low health, although, as I say actually, that's not actually that bad for Moon, all things considered, because even though LawLiet did keep all of them alive, what's he going to do to heal them? Is he going to use all his Moon Juice just to heal up maybe even only 2 of them? And he doesn't have any bears left, so I mean he can't even use lots of rejuvenations. So what's going to happen is LawLiet has 21 supply here of mountain giants, which are going to be taken out almost immediately at the start of next battle. Very interesting. I'm not sure if that was intentional by Moon or not, because obviously killing them is very nice as well. They give a tremendous amount of experience. But it'll be interesting to see if Moon just immediately tries to focuses them down, or if LawLiet spends a lot of money trying to heal them. He does have actually 2 Moon Rolls at the back here, which he seems to have forgotten about, as these main bases have now mined out. So we will need to see maybe the Trees of Eternity. Actually, Moon has sort of 30 seconds left of gold in his, but we will need to see if maybe the Tree of Eternity will just be walked over here, considering that no expansion has yet been taken by LawLiet quite yet. And Moon, yet again, buying this invisibility potion, has bought a couple of nice survival items yet again, and we'll just be keeping tabs on what's going on with LawLiet, as we now see LawLiet with his level 5 and a bit Demon Hunter. We do need to keep track on that. As I said at the very beginning of this game, some fantastic items here on this Demon Hunter for LawLiet. Really going to let him do a lot of extra damage. And again, especially against dots, that's so useful, because they have so few hit points, and being able to take them down quickly, especially if you can find the high hit point ones, or the high mana ones to take them down, it's just so good. And even this Tinker's only level 2 still, even though we're quite a considerable amount into this game, only 700 hit points, so having a high DPS Demon Hunter can really be a tremendous threat. And we do now see LawLiet is going to be walking over the Tree of Eternity, but it looks like Moon's going to be itching to take a fight here. Needs to be very careful, because this Ancient of War could uproot, and Moon could be caught in a terrible position. He's good to get some free hits off on it, but he probably will want to turn around and try and take a battle from maybe up here if at all possible, if this Ancient of War does uproot. And it looks like as soon as the LawLiet's army moves in, that's when the Ancient of War uproots. Very smart choice there. Going to eat a tree before the start of this battle, and we now see the Tree of Eternity actually is being used to fight instead of used to mine. Moon's going to lose his Ogre Mullers pretty much at the start of this battle. We do see that these mountain giants were eventually healed, and actually a very nice pocket factory position there, really going to create a strong line here, and Moon now really going to be pushing forward, taking a lot of damage on his Demon Hunter, but he does take out the Tree of Eternity. There's no more tree there for LawLiet at all, and Moon does, oh, he loses his Demon Hunter though. Oh, this could be so bad for Moon. He tried to pass over that TP, I think, but he lost it before he could use it, and now Moon's in a lot of trouble. His two remaining heroes are looking like they're going to go down. Taunt being used to take even more damage before they can get away. And looks like the staff goes off on the Tinker. The Tinker will live, but this Naga now using the vulnerability potion, will she be able to run for it? Looks like the Dryades are positioning themselves to prevent that from happening, as Moon now going to lose 2 of his heroes, with only his lowest level, hero, his level 3 Tinker, being left alive at very low hit points. And now the rest of Moon's army is tremendously exposed, as we see Moon now going to be really on the run. He does have a slightly better income, obviously, or he does have an income compared to LawLiet not having one, but the momentum here from LawLiet is overwhelming at this point. The Steam Hunter is so close to level 6, and LawLiet, with no tree, with no money to build a new tree, does need to maybe either sell some items or just go absolutely 100% all in, uproot whatever trees he has and go right for it. As Moon now, look at this, he's walking his Ancients of War here. I think this is a weird choice. I think Moon should probably be trying to defend. He has bought his Demon Hunter back from the tavern at great expense. He is bringing back his Naga, but that's only about a quarter of the way done. So he has a lot of time he needs to buy still, because fighting with them Naga is very tricky. Only 11 experience more needed for this Demon Hunter. Bear in mind, Demon Hunter that has, or any hero that's been cycloned, doesn't gain experience from any units killed while it's being cycloned. So it's very important if you're going to use a unit to try and keep it cycling at this point. But the Tinker goes down and the Demon Hunter hits level 6. Looks like this might be the end here for Moon, as we now see this Metamorphosis being used before the remaining mana can be drained away. The Demon Hunter being healed up on these last Moon Rolls. Moon gonna, oh, he just barely keeps that Demon Hunter alive by the healing potion as well at the last second. And looks like Moon's going to try and hold out, but the Demon Hunter's DPS from LawLiet is absolutely overwhelming, as we now see this Demon Hunter down to 34 hit points. Moon saves it again with his tremendous micro, but LawLiet's even being revealed at this point. Got to keep this metamorphosized Demon Hunter in the air at all times, really, as we now see Moon really being forced into the worst of positions ever here. Looks like this Ancient of Wind going to try and do a bit of tanking. The Tree of Eternity does a lot of damage, and it's going to cause a bit of problems here for LawLiet. You have to do everything you can to just every second you can keep this Metamorphosis 700 in the air is so important. You can see what I was saying before about how these Metamorphosis 700 tear through Druids of the Talon. Only 380 hit points. Such a threat. As we now see Moon's Ancient War finally coming in here. He actually does have a couple down here as well, which is quite an interesting choice. But at this point, the Naga has now popped back out, but is immediately down to very, very low hit points. And looks like we'll now see Moon's remaining dots all go down. Level 6 down, the Keeper of the Grove as well. And Moon now in a world of trouble. Not even a huge bank from his mine. He's good TP away. He's not TPing obviously to this base, but he's TPing to his expansion. And we'll have to see if there's anything left for Moon to do. As we see, this Demon Hunter has almost hit level 70 from all the damage he did. He's going to take out the Tree of Eternity. The Tree of War, one of the Ancients of Wind, is gone, and the other one is vulnerable at this point. As Moon actually does manage to root this. It's very impressive there that he actually got it, but LawLiet immediately picks up a tree, gets that siege damage, is going to be able to take down this Tree of Eternity very, very quickly. And in the meantime, Moon's rooted his own Ancients of War here, and is going to be taking down the Moon Walls from LawLiet, but LawLiet at 30 out of 70 supply, so really there's not too much to be said there. There's not too much loss there really for LawLiet, as we now see this Demon Hunter back out for Moon, but it's level 4 against level 6. Moon did actually buy another healing potion, but it was on cooldown before he could use it. And as we now oh, look at this! The Demon Hunter trying to get a block off now. Moon does have the boots, whereas LawLiet does not. Moon now brings in a Wisp as well. Oh my god, if you could get the Demon Hunter kill here, Moon could turn it around from having absolutely nothing. He could get this kill, and looks like he's going to get it. Looks like the Demon Hunter's down to very, very low health, but the staff goes off at the last second from the Keeper of the Grove, who is now going to run back, but actually blocked by his own Mountain Giant. And LawLiet now on the run, despite having the tremendously superior hero levels. The Moon Walls have survived long enough that oh, look at this, that LawLiet could heal on it, but now we have Tranquility being used to get this tremendous healing off. Tranquility, not that high mana cost, tremendously high healing rate, and pretty low cooldown as well. A very, very good ultimate. We see very little of. We can see this Demon Hunter can happily tank these Ancients of War and still heal up to full health like it was nothing. Very, very good there for LawLiet. And maybe, I mean, I don't even want to say maybe LawLiet still has a chance, because I mean, he is the level 6 Demon Hunter compared to the level 4 Demon Hunter, but really it's so impressive that Moon managed to stay in this game through some tremendous pathing blocking with that Wisp, and then getting the Naga into the fight. Really, really nice play here by Moon to stay in this game, but LawLiet has a small, scrappy army of 30 supply still, and will probably be moving up, try and bring all his ancients to this one base. If he can kill this, he wins. Looks like the Tree of Eternity, did it? Oh, Tree of Eternity must have gone down by the looks of things. So Moon absolutely needs to keep this Tree of Life alive if he wants to keep that income, and really keeping that income alive is all he has going for him at this point. Even bringing back this Tinker, which is quite interesting, because he doesn't actually have any dots to protect at this point. All he has is trees, Ancients of War, and really you don't want Pocket Factories to be getting in their way. Moon might be better off to not get that back, and maybe build a couple units, maybe a couple dots, something like that, just to try and get off a couple cyclones, because there's only one Dryad, and you can cause a lot of trouble if you get a good cyclone off. And it looks like LawLiet's even bringing all his Wisps. He knows he has no use for his 4600 lumber. He may as well just bring all his Wisps, get the dispels off. Looks like Moon has 2 dots to his name, as well as as well as 2 level 4 heroes. Actually, ooh, look at this. He has a couple more dots here. Every second that he's mining is tremendous for Moon, as we now see LawLiet being forced back because of these Ancients of War. Needs to be very smart with his positioning. Brings out some more treants. Moon should probably dispel these immediately with some Wisps. It will take a couple, but it is absolutely worthwhile, I think, at this point, as we now see actually the Wisps going down, and yes, he does dispel them at the last second, even after having taken a bit of damage on one of his Wisps, really waiting till the absolute last second. This is going to be so close. Moon buys the mercenaries. He spends absolutely every last bit that he can. LawLiet has all of his Wisps waiting really to try and get in here. The Wisp actually probably should be a bit further forward here, try and get into the spells before anything goes on. Here come the Wisps now. Moon needs to spread out his units. He uses a Fork of Lightning to get rid of some of those Wisps, but more and more of them are coming out. Moon brings his Demon Hunter to the front. He doesn't really mind if that Demon Hunter loses mana. He's not close to a Metamorphosis, and all it's going to mean is he can't mana burn quite as much, and mana burn isn't going to be too important, apart from maybe on the Keeper. But even that's not too important at this point. LawLiet going to lose his Ancients of Lore. The level 6 Demon Hunter comes in here. Immediately Metamorphosis is being used, but you need to keep that in the air. And looks like one cyclone goes off and immediately dispelled. Second cyclone goes off, and then, oh, missed dispel there. Oh, LawLiet just wasted one of his dispels on his Mountain Giant. Big mistake there by LawLiet, and he's used his final dispel there. He's only 11 mana left, and now the Keep of the Grove goes down. Moon's going to be able to win this game. I cannot believe this. This is absolutely incredible. This Metamorphosized Demon Hunter, his countdown doesn't go down while he's in the air, and looks like all the wisps are now coming in, but I do believe that Moon has won this game after being in an absolutely impossibly bad position. This level 5 Demon Hunter down to 140 hit points, but it looks like the LawLiet's Demon Hunter going down faster. That Demon Hunter goes down, and this is going to be GG. So impressive here by Moon, and something being typed there by LawLiet. There's the GG at least, but oh my god. What an amazing game there by Moon. I cannot believe he came back from that. There was a point where he just had absolutely nothing, had one mining base, and just came back with such nice micro, such nice control, and really good map awareness as well, being aware of what LawLiet's limitations were. A fantastic elf mirror, and as I say, do check out the other games. There will be lots of replays from this tournament. I've seen some of the games already, and they are stellar. So I do hope that you check them out, and thanks as ever for watching, folks. Bye.